What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Zero to Diamond podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Carruth. I'm on a mission to help reduce the failure rate in the real estate industry by helping you master your skills on the phone, conquer your fears, and changing your mindset. Now let's get into the show. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show today. Today I got Colton and Lindsay here with us. This guy's a team leader, high producer up in Utah, entrepreneur, coach, interviewer. He's all over the place, doing a lot of really good things, living a really extraordinary life. Really appreciate your time today, man. I think we were talking a little bit before. Thursday's normally your meeting day, huh?
Yeah, Thursday is the meeting day for sure.
Back to back to back.
Yeah, starting at 7:30 in the morning. So
nice.
But it's good. It's one of those leadership days where you just get some great shit knocked out. Where you're meeting with key leaders and making sure that the vision is being executed every step of the way. So it's good.
Let me make 100% sure that. There we go. I didn't see anybody on there for a second. I was like, man, are we live? So, yeah, man, for the few people out there that don't know your name or who you are, what you got going on, how about like a brief introduction and kind of how you got in real estate, a little brief background?
So got licensed in October 2005, failed miserably for the first 10 months, sold 2 homes. One of them was to my sister. Then I got into a coaching program. That's where I first met my first coach and mentor, Bob Leffler with Fearless Agent, who's now a business partner of mine 13 years later. After I got into a coaching program, I then actually started doing deals. So within 4 years, I was hitting about $400,000 in revenue to where I'm at today, 2017. My business revenue is roughly right around $750,000. And have been able to leverage it too to go from where I was the single agent doing 75 deals a year myself to last year I did 20% of the deals and my team did the other 80%. So that's really cool to kind of make that shift from being in the business to more of running the business. So that's been cool. Doesn't mean that the work is easier. It's just different. It's just new things to do.
Yeah, no, it's a totally different ball game from being in production to running a team for sure. Like as far as the team goes, like a lot of people are confused and want to know more about like the team dynamics and how it all works. Like, tell me a little bit about your team. Like, how many people, what are their roles, and how do you like make a team run smoothly? I guess
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to understand is teams have come a long ways. Right. I remember when I first heard about teams, it was more like people on the team worked for the leader. And once I could get it through my mind that it was I worked for the people in my organization, like how do I make their life better, more profitable, more fulfilling, right? That's when it started to shift for me. So I look at it as what can I do to go create some value for these people in my organization? And how I start to bring people in my organization is how can I leverage myself more to be even more productive than I already am? And the first person for me to bring on was an assistant, right? How could I leverage off transaction coordination, admin, operation stuff? And then the second person to really bring in was that person that could kind of be like the gopher, sort of speak, the kind of the extra shit that I needed done, whether it was signs, key boxes, showing homes, getting like when I first started, we didn't have DocuSign, right? Like we had to actually fax or get signatures with a pen. So as that shifted, obviously the roles have shifted. But then once I got that into position, then I said, okay, well, what's the next thing that I got to leverage, and what's the next thing that I got to leverage? And so to where I got to today is, I didn't really want to focus on sales anymore. There was other things I wanted to be involved with, especially with the online world and those businesses I'm working on. So then I said, okay, well, I have to leverage my sales. And what are most of my sales coming from? 70% have been referrals for years. How can I find someone that's going to actually be able to do those deals and me not have to worry if they're going to get done or not? So I had to find that right person. And so I started with one agent that I did it differently than most. I hired them based on a salary, which is a phenomenal way to start them off. So now I'm to where what runs for my business is I have my full-time operations director that he also does the transaction coordination. I have 2 senior sales agents that they deal with 80+% of our sales and getting contracts signed. And then I have 2 junior agents. So each senior agent has their own junior agent. And that junior agent is basically like the guy that just gets shit done that the senior agent needs, whether it's getting the signer key box on, we had one guy, he had to run to a closing for the senior agent today. But their major focus is to be setting appointments for the senior agent as well. So in addition to the prospecting that the senior agent's doing, they're basically learning underneath the senior agent. And so that's what's worked for me. Took me a while to get to that point. I made some bad hires. I've done it some different commission structures, different things. But we pay our junior agents a base salary with a small bonus structure. When we have, and then that way we work them into a senior agent position. They go off of salary to a full commission split. Yeah.
Nice. So like one of my biggest things is like having a team, and then you said you were getting a lot of referrals. Like my thing would be like if I got a referral from someone and then I gave them to a team member who wasn't me, I have that fear that the person that sent me the referral or even the person that came to me, they're not going to feel the love. They're going to feel like I just threw them off on somebody. How do you get around that?
I had to find someone that was better than me. That was the secret, right? I'm high D with some high I in me. So I'm really driven and focused and task oriented, but I'm fast paced, right? So I had the systems in place, which are going to continue to generate the business. But where I kind of suck is I'm not really personable with people, right? I'm not really super in. So for example, the guy that we brought in, I go on a listing appointment and I want to get the contract signed and I want to get out of there as quick as possible and do as little talking with people as possible, right? Whereas Jeremy, like he'll have a freaking, like I've called him up and he has an answer and he called me later. I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, oh, sorry, those people we just signed up asked me to stay over for dinner. So he's like freaking eating dinner with these people after he's getting their contract signed, right?
Yeah.
And so what I found out is I had to find someone that was better with people than me. That was the secret, but was bad with the systems so that my systems could fill that gap and then they could do what they were great at, was be great with the people. And so when they go out, I still prospect to this day. I will prospect to the day I die. To me, that's part of networking, right? It's just who am I prospecting? Who am I talking with? And when I have a customer that I set them up with, I just let them know, hey, here's exactly what we're doing and here's how things are set up. And then if you set that expectation, if they know what to expect, then they're good to go. Yeah.
No, I get it. I guess I just have this kind of thing. I think I'm in the middle. Like I'm really good at the systems and getting the leads, and I'm really good with the people. Or I'm not like probably as good as Jeremy. I'm not like because I had a guy. I met with some clients and we spent like 5 hours together. And this is a big client on a big project, and they wanted to have dinner afterwards. And I probably could have went, but I was like, nah, I got plans, so I probably wouldn't have done the dinner thing. But so I'm kind of probably in between you two. Like I'm probably not balls out with the systems, and I'm probably not all the way with personality, like going to dinner stuff. But I'm right in the middle where I'm pretty good at both. And I don't know. I guess it's just whatever works for you, but I definitely see the benefit. I see what you're saying. You find somebody that's better than you at the people thing, and then when you refer people out, they get that service, and they're like ecstatic that you sent them to somebody who actually probably took better care of them than you.
Yeah, totally, for sure. Because what a customer wants is an outcome, and the outcome is an experience that we're giving them. And so what is the experience that we want to create for them? And I made a list of things. You know what? They want amazing communication. They want to feel like they won. They want to feel like they're important. They want a step-by-step process. And so then I started, okay, what can I put in place to automate that? and then there's some things that we can't automate, right? Like one of the questions I always ask my agents is, who can we appreciate? Which of our customers can we appreciate even more right now? And you think about it, like if a customer is going to pay you $10,000 as a commission, sometimes we get so transactional with it that we forget that these are human beings, that when they're moving, they have 300,000 pieces of shit in their house they've got to pack up and move. And why not take that extra 30 minutes to go to dinner with them, or just to send them the text out of the blue that says, hey, listen, Ricky, I wanted to let you know, completely appreciate you working with us and trusting in our systems, and we're excited to take care of you, right? Just those little extra things of appreciating them go a long way.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. I think I try to call them maybe once a year. I got so many people. Probably drop them a phone call. Definitely after the deal, I'm talking to them, asking them what else I can do for them. Can I help them move some furniture? What do they need? You know, do they need a vendor? Do they need a contractor? You know,
Yeah.
What can I do to help better their lives? So, go ahead.
I was going to say I look at it as two parts. I look at it as during the active period they're working with you, right? That's when you really want to reach out and be communicative with them. And then I look at them as their experience, the past customer side of things, right? So on the past customer side of things, I try to do things more in a bulk way that still comes across personal. So like, for example, coming up in February, we've got a customer appreciation event. We call it the WGR appreciation event. We do it 3 times a year. We're going roller skating and having pizza, right? So one of the best ways then is I can then nail out a bunch of phone calls to these people, leave them a voice message, click of a button voice message, and send out emails and postcards to get them there. Now all of a sudden, I talked to as many people as I could, got as many people in one spot in one night, and for 3 hours, I'm just face-to-face, belly-to-belly with as many of those people as possible. So now it allows me 3 different times a year to really leverage that kind of communication with them. And I might only spend 60 seconds with each one of them at the event, or I might only just say hi to them, but that was, just a handshake with them. But it makes it more personable to do it that way. So how can you chunk it up? My question every single time is, how can I leverage this even more now? How can I make this even more leveraged, yet still bring in the appreciation with it?
Yeah. And plus of those customer appreciations, do you find that your clients kind of like network with each other, and it's like they're like praising you, like, oh yeah, Colton did good for me. Like, oh yeah, they got little Colton stories. They're like swapping back and forth.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's one of the principles is social validation, right? You see it today with social media, right? Like just inside, and I haven't really been active in your Facebook group, but I know in some of mine, with Fearless Agent or even with the WGR Prospecting Mastery, now all of a sudden people are saying how awesome Colton is or how awesome Fearless Agent is. It's that same concept in front of each other face to face. You get them in there, just showing up. And, when I have an event, my largest event was probably, I think, 700 people that I've had at one event. Now all of a sudden everyone that shows up, they're like, holy shit, like he is doing something different. Look at all these people that he's done, that he's taken care of. And so then it really validates it even more and helps them want to send you more business.
Yeah, solidifies it. I got a quick little question here from Joseph David here. He says, question for Colton, not criticism, he says. As mentioned, clients want to feel they're important. If you were, as you say, you were not particularly personable with them, how in the world did you get up to 400,000 gross on your own within 4 years? What enabled you to gain so many clients?
I would say, first of all, great question, by the way. Thank you. Number one is I would look back, and I've never done it on my own. Number one is I had a coach and a trainer that supported me every step of the way. I had people that believed in me, right? So I never did it on my own. I had great people with, title companies, home warranties, inspectors. And so I look at that, number one. But number two is there are certain techniques that you can use that are really high pressure, that you can actually get people to do business with you. They'll fucking hate you, but they'll do business with you, right? So earlier in my career, I had a lot more of turn and burn business. I did over 40 for sell by owners in 1 year. and maybe 25% of them stuck into my database that I even wanted to talk to ever again, right? So there's ways to do business where people hate you and you still get paid, but you end up getting new business over and over again. Whereas if you can start to get that personable side as you learn and you develop and you mature, then you can actually get repetitive business from them. You know, their friends, their family, their parents, you know, because when I first started, I was doing people more my age, and then they started referring me their parents, you know, and then I did the parents, so they started referring me the other kids, right? And you just kind of, from there, you get better at it as you go. You add onto it.
So basically, you were just turning and burning. That's kind of how it was with me, man. Because I got in '02, right before the market blew up,
Yeah.
and you know, made all that money. But like I said in that interview with you, but yeah, in the beginning, I was just worried about deals.
Yeah.
You know, because I could call 10 more people and do another deal for $500,000, and I didn't need client retention. And then when the market crashed, that's when I learned. I was like, okay, that doesn't work.
Nope.
So I had to figure it all out. Let's see. Renee here's got a good question. She says, I love the idea of roller skating client appreciation party. What day of the week and what time of day have you found is the best? And do you rent the entire rink for the private party?
Great question, Renee. Appreciate that. So for my area, and I don't know if this is everywhere, but for me, Monday nights tend to be the best nights. We do them from 6 o'clock to, depending on what time of year it is. For this one, we'll do it from 6 to 9 o'clock, and we rent the entire rink. Like we have the whole thing, and I bring my lender partner in. He pays for half of the venue. And then I bring in other vendors like my home warranty, my inspector. Some of your states, you can actually use title companies depending on the laws. And I get them to bring in and pay for the food and help fund it. A lot of my events, I can actually almost get $0 out of pocket, right? Because I bring enough vendors in to fund it. So it might cost $3,000 and I pay for maybe $500 of it. So $500, I look at that, okay, I got $500 for marketing. I could spend it on Facebook ads to people I've never met before, or I could spend it on reinvesting it back into the people that have actually chosen to work with me. How can I appreciate them even more? That's the question I always ask. And so to me, if there's a matter of where am I going to spend this money, it's always how can I spend it back on these people to have something fun for them, you know? You look at your life. You've got your own challenges you're dealing with. What are the odds your customers have the shit they're dealing with in their life, right? And, you know, I got some customers that they're stoked to buy their first house, and they're probably never going to own anything over $150,000 house, right? And for them to be able to go out and have roller skating and pizza is a pretty big expense for them. They don't have as much money as I do. So to provide that for them it's pennies on the dollar to give them that experience. So one thing I would suggest for you guys is change how do you do customer service to how can I improve my customer experience?
Yeah. So just like a question I'm sure some of the guys might have, like when you open up the skating ring and you rent out the whole thing, you know, people start showing up. How do you know who is there? Like, how do you separate? Do they get tickets? How do you do that?
So we have everyone, everything's about creating processes and plans. And so we have a marketing plan it's super automated between phone calls, emails, text messages, and postcards. So we automate the process of people registering, and we get them to register on an Eventbrite link. And typically what we do is we ask them how many tickets they want, and then we will register them on Eventbrite, and then it will email them the number of tickets that they requested. So they've got it in their email. And then when they show up, they check in. We've got a paper that shows their name and how many people they registered for. So they show us their invitation or their tickets, and we write down how many people they brought, and they get wristbands that we put on them, and then they get a meal ticket. So they'll have a wristband, and then people will give the ticket when it's their time to go get food if they want to go get food.
Nice. So how many people are you expecting on this next one?
You know what? This is the first time we've done a roller skating one. So far, we just barely launched it last week, and we've got about 100 people that have RSVP'd. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have 300 or 400. Indoor ones tend to attract fewer people than the outdoor ones. Our fall harvest one is always the best. That's where we had 700 people this last one. So I would expect between 300 and 400 on this one. 300 would be, if we had 300, that'd be awesome.
What was the fall harvest like? What was the event? Like, what did they do?
Yeah, so we have corn maze, and they had like a pumpkin patch, and there was like it's this cool place. They have like turkey races and pig races, and you got to shoot corn on the cob out of these like air guns. They had like slides for the kids. Yeah, they have these bunch of these food trucks out front, so people can go get food truck food if they want. We had our vendors smoke a bunch of hot dogs for everyone, and everyone gets a pumpkin. It's really cool. That one's more expensive. I think that one probably cost us about $5,000 to do, but I'm able to typically zero that one out with my vendor sponsors, so it doesn't usually cost me any money, even though the cost is $5,000.
Yeah, but you got 700 of like past clients and friends and family and stuff there, dude. That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. Yeah, it's awesome. But what I have learned is we want to try and not get as many, like 700 on that one we can probably do, but you really don't want to have so many that it's overbearing for people with getting food. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
When you start getting more people there, it's harder to deliver for them food.
Yeah. Good stuff, dude. I guess next thing is like your prospecting. Like what would you say you guys is favorite prospecting is as far as, expired for sale by owners, random circle prospecting, Zillow leads, door knocking,
Yeah.
postcard. What's your bread and butter?
Yeah, number one is we're really sphere of influence driven right now. So we try to focus on really talking to those people a lot, just connecting with them and having voice-to-voice conversations or having FaceTime conversations with them. That's number one. Number two is what we call our people farm. People farm are like kind of tier 2 SOI, people that might know us, but we might not know them face-to-face sort of thing. And so we try to talk on the phone as much as possible with them. Then tier 3 is going to be incoming leads, either from our home values website or from cold calling, right? Our next one is a ton of cold calling. Just, I guess you call it circle prospecting, right? That same thing. We do a lot from that. And the goal from those is to either A, it's always set an appointment, right? Number one, or B is to move them into our long-term follow-up, which is People Farm, where we spend a lot of time talking to those people. And then FSBOs and expireds. In our market, FSBOs and expireds are really down compared to 5 years ago. So we don't spend a ton of time there just because there's not a ton of time to be spent right there.
Yeah. So how many people are actually prospecting on your team?
So 5. I prospect every day. My senior agents prospect every day, and then the junior agents prospect every day. So 5 people making calls.
Nice. That answers this question. Hey, Colton, do you still prospect daily? If so, when? What kind of prospecting for how long?
So great question, Peter. So obviously, yes, I do prospect every day. I like to think of it as networking, right? So I try to have key conversations with influencers or decision makers that can send me business. Like, and not only in my real estate business anymore, but just in my businesses in general. If I'm going to have opportunity with people, I want to be networking with super awesome people, right? So I prospect still every day about 2 hours, and I call my sphere of influence still to this day. I will sometimes just hop on and I'll call some old cold leads just to show the guys I still got it in me and set some appointments from that. I'll even hop on, do some cold calls with them sometimes, not very often, but I will. But then I try to find out who are key people that are movers and shakers and create some cool shit that I want to connect with. And then I'll reach out to them and I'll set up interviews with them on my Facebook page so that I can interview them. And plus it creates content for my stuff, but I get to learn from them and I get to see what they're rocking and rolling on. And I mean, that's how Ricky and I met, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we started to get to know each other. That's how I ended up meeting Derek Lipsky, was something similar to that. I became really good friends with him. He ended up then setting me up with the vice president of Mojo. And so now, I do a lot of work with some big companies, right? So it's all about networking. I look at the word prospecting as a word that doesn't make me feel awesome, but I say it a lot for people because they get it. But networking makes me feel better, right? So I try to find words that resonate with my emotion that will engage me to act. And networking is one of those words.
I like that. So what would you say maybe your goals are for this year for the team? What are y'all trying to accomplish?
Man, I'd like to break I've never broke 100 units in a year, so I'd love to break 100 units. I think we'll easily do it. That's one goal. I want to bust the $1 million mark. I told you that several months ago or whenever we connected. I've never broke $1 million in a year, so I'd love to break the $1 million a year. But my number one goal for this year, 2018, is to create that just an ultimate relationship with my wife. It's not that we have a bad relationship by any means. We've got a good one. In fact, compared to a lot of people, it's probably a great relationship, but I want an extraordinary relationship. So that has been my number one commitment this year, is to create that ultimate relationship. So I personally believe that that polarity that's created through masculine and feminine energy will actually ignite the business to really blow by $1 million easily.
All right, so last year you did 750. So that wasn't commissions. That's your total commissions and online sales.
Yeah, that was total top line revenue. Yep.
Okay, what did you do in just commissions?
It was about 570.
Okay, all right. So you need to get that up to about 750 or 800.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm getting at is, what are you doing differently this year to get to the higher numbers? Like, what are you doing to grow?
Going from 70 units to 100 units is the thing that will dramatically push us there. Number of units.
Are you just I mean, is there a plan in place, or the things you're doing differently, or are you just grinding as hard as you can and hoping that it all works out?
No, we brought on a couple of junior agents we brought them on in August, and so there's a lag in the training period, so we're starting to see more results from them, so I think that will enhance, number one. Oh, hold on. Now I'm hearing my background. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I'm hiring, I call it a rock star inside sales agent. So their whole purpose is to just, like those people that we aren't connecting on the phone with as much as we'd like, I want them to really focus on getting the in between the cracks that we're missing, and then also focus on more cold calling to add people into our people farm. So that's the next thing that I'm bringing on. And then the third thing that I will do, the hopes is in the next 3 to 6 months, the plan is to move those junior agents up to senior agents, at which time I would be able to quickly hire 2 new junior agents. And then once those senior agents really get their shit on their own by themselves for a minute, then I would end up hiring 2 more junior agents underneath them. So the plan by the end of the year would be able to finish with 4 senior agents and 4 junior agents, and then a couple of inside sales agents that just are catching the shit in between the cracks most of the time.
Got you. So you're still trying to add people to your team.
That's part of it, leveraging through that for sure.
Like, do you feel the pressure of your team getting to a point where you don't want to have any more people on your team?
No, I used to, but that was when I was doing it differently. To me, it's all about creating a culture, right? Like, how do I create a culture? So now one of the things where I used to do everything myself and keep the junior agents separated from the senior agents. But what I realized is I could have the junior agents be a huge value add for the senior agents by pairing them up. And it did a couple things. Number one is it created like a competition in between the 2 different teams, right? But also then the senior agents then had a chance to become a leader and develop their leadership skills in really helping cultivate this junior agent. So it became a win-win relationship for each of them. And then obviously it leveraged my time even more.
What would you say for a brand new agent? Like, just brand new in today's world, get your license. What do you do? Number
1 is you get out of bed at 5 a.m. Number 2 is you get really clear on your game plan for the day. Number 3 is by 7:30, you're practicing your skill set. Number 4 is by 8 a.m., you're prospecting for the next 4 or 5 hours, and set 5 or more appointments every single week and go on appointments. Anything else is a waste of your fucking time.
So 1 appointment a day on average.
Yeah. If you don't have an appointment, you have no other thing to do except for figure out and find out how to get an appointment set.
What about weekends?
I would recommend working on Saturdays. I would recommend you take at least 1 day off, personally, but work Saturdays too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, when I was new, I worked 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. I wanted it so bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to be willing to go on. I remember going on appointments at 8:30 at night and getting home at 10:30, right? And then getting back up at 5 a.m. the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to do whatever it takes. You got to be willing to sacrifice what's good to go and get what's great.
Why do you think there's so much failure?
I think the better question is how can we be successful on a higher level even more? But you know, to answer that question is people just are little bitches. People don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
question is what's the work, and why is it important to me, and am I willing to do whatever it takes? Am I willing to do these action items?
I think that when you got your first job, was it by the hour or did you get paid on
My
production?
first my first job was actually was doing little league umpiring, so it was per game, basically per the hour.
Mm-hmm. Got a good question here. Colton, what keeps people from leaving the team and not making it a revolving door?
Great question. I actually really awesome question, Jordan. So number one is, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, was the team doesn't work for me. I work for the team. My whole goal every single day is, and I ask this question, how can I appreciate even more my teammates, the people on my team? So that's one thing. Number two is think about the business as our business, not my business. When I think about it as my business, and I correct myself all the time when I speak in I form versus a me or a we form, like we do this, we grow this, right? That's number two. And then number three is the hiring process. It's the selection process, right? When you select the person into your organization, most people, there's just not training on how to make that hire. It's not taught, right? And so you have to hire and fire enough people to get good at it. And then you have to get great at that vetting process. I look at it as I have a hierarchy of relationships: God, myself, my family, and my team. And I want to protect that vibe within inside of my system here, right? And so I got to set up a vetting process to make sure this person is going to be a fit for us, so they don't mess up our vibe. But number two is we're going to be a fit for them, because even though, I mean, you walk into my office and you're probably going to hear the fuck word 27 times in the first 37 seconds that you're in my office, right? So some people might not be cool with that, which is totally fine. We don't want to put them in a space that they feel uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if their values or how their compass is set up doesn't resonate with that, well, let me help you get to a place where it does resonate with you. You see what I'm saying? So your hiring and vetting process is what's really important. But I think the biggest thing, Jordan, is people use teams it's almost as if it's a parasitical format, and so the leader sucks the venom or the blood and puts venom back into them, sort of thing. So you got to actually ask, how can I fill my people up? How can I create more for them, even more?
Tony says, Colton, how many leads do you give your agents a month?
So they get almost all my referral leads, which, you know, on average is 5 a month, and then for total, right? And they probably each get 3 to 4 seller leads a day. And then they've got access to our entire database, which I haven't looked at it lately, but I can tell you real quick. My entire database is processing 120,000 in it. So they've got, I mean, there's always more people. Oh, I just checked. I'm sorry, 150,614 in my database currently. And so there's always people to call. I give them 150,000 prospects every single day.
It's unlimited. Okay. Hey, Colton, one type of prospecting that I've always had a hard time with is a sphere of influence. The last thing I want to do is come off as a salesy to them. Not to mention, these are people that I pretty much either see in person or text with. So call them on the phone will probably seem strange. What's worked the best for you and your team with sphere of influence?
I call them on the phone. So here's a great question, Alan. One of the things that helped me is I actually let them know that, say, hey, listen, I know that great business owners, they communicate with their network to ask for business. And so would it be okay if I do that with you? And they always say yes. And then the other thing I say is, hey, I'm not perfect at this. I never want to come across salesy or bugging you. Will you tell me ever if I am doing that? And they never are going to tell you, but they'll be like, oh, you're not bugging me, whatever, right? Then the other one is I ask myself this question. Every time that sphere of influence contact pops up on my database, I ask, how can I appreciate this person even more? So Alan, with those people that you want business from, how can you appreciate them even more today? What can you do for them? You trade that expectation for appreciation, it will change your entire business. And then the other thing that one of the laws you've got to look at your business, it's got to be profitable, right? And so I let them know when I call them certain times, hey, this is a business call. Can I ask for a favor? And they usually respond with yes, or depends on what the favor is, right? And I know that I've been not doing a great job at appreciating them when first thing they say to me on the phone is, hey, I don't know anyone thinking of buying or selling real estate right now, right? The conversation should never start in a networking conversation around what you want from them. It should start around appreciation, but it should also be very upfront and say, hey, listen, I do run a business. I want to be your go-to guy this year. While I got you, who do you know that's even mentioned thinking about it over the next year or so?
Good answer. Good answer. Let's see. Tony says, how'd you build that big old database, and how often do you call those 150,000 people?
So we start with, great question. I've been working on my database for 13 years now, right? So I've used Mojo since 2009 or 2010, and I've just continually made it a focus on how can I create a network of people that I can contact, right? And so each and every day, I start with the warmest opportunities to set appointments first, and then I work out to the coldest opportunities from there.
But all these people aren't getting postcards from you, correct? You're not
No.
sending 150,000 postcards and so on and so forth.
No.
The people that you've encountered, maybe got their phone number, maybe you haven't talked to them, but you have contact information. This is a plethora. This is a smorgasbord of just all kinds of different contacts.
Yeah, so we've got obviously our sphere of influence, number one, for first and foremost, that get a lot of marketing recallability from us. Number two is our people farm, which is kind of a tier down. Number three are new prospects, new people that have come into the database, people we haven't spoke with yet, but we know that they're actively doing something, so we want to really hustle them. And then it moves out to cold leads that we have never really got in touch with, and then it moves out to old cold leads, people that we tried a bazillion times and nothing ever came up with them, right? So a lot of that database is old cold stuff, but there's still some deals to be had from them, right? So when you need people to call people that you haven't called in 2 years, right? So I've got people in my list that I haven't called in 3 years, but when we need people to call, guess what? We hop on that list and we start calling them. There's always people to call.
Yeah, they're people. I mean, dude, people are doing deals.
Yep.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Like if you had it all to do over again, and if you thought that there was a chance that you could be single agent, put the same time and effort into your customers as you have building a team, do you think that you would be further along than the 500-something thousand that you made last year in real estate? Or would you, if you had it all to do over again, would you do it differently? Do you feel like at this point you're so far in the team game, you don't know? Do you think that the team atmosphere and what you have going on is most efficient? I mean, you've seen the single side of it, you've seen the team side of it. You're pretty deep in both parts of it. I dabbled in the team thing, I only touched it for a second and got right back out of it. I mean, if you had it all to do over again, do you think you would do it the same?
I think that's the way to answer that question is it depends on where a person's at in their life, right? When I first got into this, the single agent by far is the way to do it, but I could work 80 hours a week and not be bored or tired of it because I was hungry for it, right? But then it got to the point where I realized I was missing out on stuff with my daughter, and then I was like, wait a second, I'm not gonna trade money for quality of life. And then I started to realize, well, why can't I have both? And so that's where I was able to start leveraging myself. I wouldn't have been able to spend 3 weeks in Costa Rica earlier this year, or I spent 3 weeks in Brazil before with my family, or spend so much time off with them. I work maybe 15 hours a week now in my real estate sales business versus 80 hours a week, right?
Mhm.
So which would you rather do? For me, I ask this question: what do I rather do? Work 80 hours a week to make $800,000, or would I rather work 15 hours a week to make $500,000? And to
Yeah,
me, it's all about getting that fulfillment for where I'm currently at in my business. And you know what? When my daughters are 20 years old, maybe I will do more in the grind, but I'll be at a different stage. But there'll be a period where they won't quite have kids yet, and they're not going to want to hang out with me, or I'm not going to go taking them to dance practice all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I think you have these different stages in life, and you adapt to what stage you're at.
for sure, man. Scott wants you to clarify, which we've already done, about the income.
Yeah, 750,000 was my top line revenue that I was paid between all my businesses and my investments.
Let's see. Cool. Well, man, what do you think? What do you think the number one reason why people choose a particular realtor?
Oh man, I think it's a couple of things. Number one, I think there's some likability to it, right? They just will choose you because they like you. But I think too, it's a skill set. It's the way a person can communicate. Sales is an act of service, and so if you can get great at communicating with an individual, you can tap into their patterns, and they'll more naturally choose you versus the competition. You don't
That could,
have to be, in fact, less likable people that are great at their sales skills far often get chosen as the agent than the more likable one.
well, the skill set you're talking about is communication, right?
Correct. Communication, the ability to
Well,
communicate.
that kind of comes right back to being likable. They're communicating in a way that makes the client feel comfortable, and that they're on top of their game, and that which really comes down to liking them. So really, it's the same thing when you say.
Well, you can not like the person, but you can like the results in that you feel they can provide for you, right? I can tell you, especially earlier on, how many people chose me, not because they liked me, but they liked the results that I communicated I could provide for them. I
Mhm.
mean, I remember there was one guy that I showed up. He looked like he was having a great time playing basketball with the kids and everything after his appointment, right? Building rapport, which by the way, that's not really rapport, guys, but you know what I mean? He had a great connection with them, obviously. I walked in 25 minutes and had a signed listing agreement right after his meeting, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't do any of that basketball playing, or I didn't do any chat cheating. I had the ability to realize what do they want and how can I provide that to them, and how can I validate that can actually be their result, communicate that to them.
So if there's a difference in the skill set of communication of results and getting it done versus likability, what would you say? What would you rather be? Somebody who's likable, or somebody who has skills?
I mean, ultimately, ideally would be both, right? Because some people are going to be more expressive and more hand-holding, and they're going to not choose based on results, right? They're going to like the car that he drove and the way he dressed, and they're just going to feel better, right? So you just have to be able to have adaptability with each type of that customer.
Mhm. Oh, I definitely think adaptability is the thing.
I would say my weakness, though, is the likability side as far as being extremely personable with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I recognize that, and it's something I seek to improve. But what I'm great at is understanding how to disrupt patterns and to create new patterns with people. I'm a
Yeah.
pattern.
Mm. Not sure I understand exactly what this means, but how many leads do you carry at all times? I guess maybe
Um,
I don't know
yeah,
what he means by that.
depends on what your definition of a lead is, right? That really is kind of a tough question to answer. If we look at it like the old school Mike Ferry definition of a lead is who's going to sign a contract in the next 7 to 15 days. I don't know, maybe 5 at a time if you look at it like that. But if you look at like leads that you're nurturing, 1,500 at a time, right? So you just kind of depends on your definition of lead.
Yeah. Oh, he meant listings.
Oh, listings. Honestly, we carry most of the time less than 10 listings at a time in this market. I think the most I was carrying was probably about 30 at a time, but that was when listings were super abundant. Listing inventory is really small right now, so we're less than 10 at any given time right now. I don't even think we have that right now. Maybe probably 6 or 7 right now is all.
What's the average days on the market for you guys?
I have to look, but we're probably under 28 days still.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, especially like we got one that just put up for 215, and the first day we had 3 offers on it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear places that there's zero inventory, stuff sells in 2 days and stuff like that. But we're like 65 days on
Oh,
average.
wow. Yeah, we have the lowest inventory in recorded history ever in my market across the whole entire Wasatch Front that we've ever had.
I'm pretty sure we are too. Okay, here we go. Interesting concept about results versus relationships. There's an old saying about the gifted surgeon with the horrible people skills. People didn't care. They wanted the best service.
Yeah.
So let me think about this. The gifted surgeon with horrible people skills. People didn't care. They wanted the best service. So I guess what he's saying is people didn't go to the gifted surgeon because he had horrible people skills.
To me, that person is a horrible decision maker, because if I'm going under a knife for heart surgery, I want the freaking absolute best. I could care less how he treats me and makes me feel.
Andrew, please clarify what the people didn't care about. Was it not caring about the skills, the people skills, or didn't care about the surgeon skills?
I think that everyone does care about the experience, though. And when he says best service, I think I look at that as the best experience, the best possible outcome.
I mean, when you're talking about a surgeon, I don't care. I'm not going to be talking to him when I'm knocked out and he's cutting on me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be talking to him if I'm dead. People skills are important, though, guys. Don't like what is important are the patterns of communication.
Mm-hmm. I think people love hard workers. I think if you can prove that you're actually a hardworking, honest person and that you're really good at communicating and you get results, like real estate, you really kind of got to be a full package, like you said. You want to be likable and have the communication skills. Let's see, here's a good one. Or he actually came back and said they didn't care about the people skills.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Tony wants to know how long it'll take you to get to 1 million.
How long will it take me to get to 1 million? Well, so far it's taken me 33 years to do it in 1 year. I think we'll do it this year. I think we'll hit the $1 million revenue mark this year. If you're talking in an annual revenue, if you're talking in a net worth, from the time I started realizing I could get to $1 million, it took me about 3 or 4 years.
Dude, I got a deep question here for you. What do you think happens when we die?
Ooh, gosh, dude. I think we're going off the topic, but I love these types of questions. I think we're going to just exist differently. I think everything is energy. I think everything is always exist. I think you've always exist. I think you always will exist. I think once you die, though, you'll go to a space, and then you'll come back as another human being. Maybe you'll come back as a woman, or maybe you'll come back as a different person, right? Like, I think you'll definitely come back as a different person. You'll have other experiences.
Maybe you come back as a tree.
I personally don't think that, but maybe.
Okay, Vic wants to know, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self, and what are your top 5 favorite books?
Cool. So great questions. The number one advice I don't even know if this would be advice, but number one thing I would say back to my 18-year-old self is, dude, chill out. Everything turns out okay.
Mm.
Top 5 books. Number 1, Think and Grow Rich. Number 2, Outwitting the Devil. Number 3, Ask and It Is Given. Number 4, Cybernetics. Number 5, The Untethered Soul.
Wow.
And those were, it's hard to pack in 5. I could give you a list of 37 books that should be in the top 5. It's hard to do that, but those are 5 great ones.
I'm gonna have to get you to type those out or something and post those in the group later.
Yeah, I'll post it right here.
Yeah. See, how do you get buyers to move forward versus taking their time and missing opportunities?
It's all in your communication skills. So, for example, you set the expectation up front by having them sit down in a meeting with you. You share with them the step-by-step plan that you're going to follow. That's number 1. Number 2 is don't show them more than the rule for me is no more than 5 homes at a time, but I try to do 2 or 3. And then after every home, I'm asking them on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is this is the place. 1 is you don't ever care if you see it again. What would you rank it? They tell me it's a 7. I say, great. What would it take to make it a 10? I find out, is it the location? Is it the floor plan? Is it something I can't change? Or is it the paint color or the carpet? Something I can't change. If they tell me it's the floor plan, I say, great, let's go to the next house. I think it's a terrible floor plan as well. If they say it's the carpet, great, I hate it too. What color would you like it? Let's see if we can get it fixed. And then oftentimes I've noticed when they tell me it's a 9, that's when they're going to write the offer. So I try to find when they tell me it's a 9 or a 10. And once they tell me that, they ask, well, what should we do for an offer? Or if they tell me they want to offer a shitty price, I say, hey, listen, if this is one of your favorites, what are the odds that this is someone else's favorite? And they always say, well, probably is. And I say, great. So if we like this as a 9 or a 10, this means we need to come in at 11 or 12 offer. So can I share with you what I recommend to offer? And they say, yeah. And then I say, well, I just want to make sure that you want to make sure you get this house, right? You don't want to hopefully miss out on it. You don't want to miss out on it, right? And they say, no, we want to get this house. I reiterate that they want to get this house. And I say, okay, well, I recommend, and then I give them my recommendation. And I say, we go in with an offer that we get signed and accepted, not this back and forth shit. In this market, for sure.
You got to move quick right now.
Yep.
Vic wants to know how many homes you sold your first year.
My first year, I sold 2 homes. Failed miserably.
I sold 4 in mine.
So it goes to show you don't have to be great at selling homes in your first year.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that's it, man. If anybody has any last minute questions, type it in right this second. Give it another couple minutes right here. Colton's typing in his favorite books for you guys to get if you haven't read any of them. Everybody, if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, I don't know where you've been. Everybody's read
right.
that.
So one thing, if you guys want, I am hosting, and I don't know if this is spelled right that I just posted, but you can check it out, Cybernetics. I'm hosting a free 28-day prospecting challenge starting February 5th. If you guys would like to be a part of that free prospecting challenge, let me know. I'll get you a way you guys can get registered. So there's some things that are going to go into it. Number 1 is you're going to prospect every day with twice as much. Maybe it's time, maybe it's energy, maybe it's effort every single day. Number 1. Number 2 is you're going to track the number of appointments you set every single day. Number 3 is you're going to track the number of conversations you had. And then number 4 is you're going to post a selfie in our Facebook group every single day to hold you accountable. So,
is there a link or something for that can sign up?
Yeah, I can share it with you. Where do you want me to share it?
Just put it right here, and then I'll post it in the group later too.
Okay, I'll post it right here. And then also I'm going to have two times throughout the 28 days where I'm going to do a live stream prospecting session from I'll share my Mojo dialer, so we'll have a Q&A too. So completely free.
Cool. Is this, how much does this cost?
Free dollars.
Free. If anybody wants to do this, yeah, link is right here. I'll post it in the group later as well, so you guys can do that. Sounds pretty cool. Probably get a lot of benefit out of that. Let's see, Mark, one last question: skier or snowboarder?
Snowmobiler. I snowmobile.
Snowmobiler. You never skied or snowboard?
I used to snowboard when I was younger, but
Not your
I'd rather
thing
go.
anymore?
It's just, you know what? Utah has become so popular and the resorts are so crowded, and I'd rather hop on my sled and go where I only see 5 other people all day long.
Yeah. Hey, Vic, I see a question you got. We absolutely answered that. So go back and watch the interview. We got into that. To answer your question, though, Vic, all the above. Expires and for sale boners is at the bottom of his totem pole, though. It's sphere of influence. Then it's tier 2, which is the people that he talked to that haven't done anything yet. Then it's tier 3 is people that probably knows their name but hasn't really had that voice-to-voice contact. And then for sale boners and expired. But for sale boners and expireds are really not as abundant as it used to be. So it's kind of on the back burner for now.
Not to say that I didn't do a lot of them earlier on in my career, because I did, and that's how I started, was FSBOs and expireds and cold calling.
Any last thoughts, ma'am?
For me,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? I would say, if I could leave you with one thing, is how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And practice is it makes us permanent, right? It doesn't make us perfect, it makes us permanent. So how you practice is how you're going to play. And one of the things that we look at, and I believe is a lie, is we've been taught this lie that time equals money, right? I actually believe that time equals emotion. So each moment that is passing, you can get great at the science of success, but if you have zero fulfillment in your life, what's the point? So get great at both. Be very skilled at making money and being successful in whatever your definition of success is, but also be very creative in creating the art of fulfillment and being fulfilled. Get fulfilled.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the $2 billion guy that's worth $2 billion, but he neglected his health, so now he can't even get out of a chair because he's so big. You know, he's 400 pounds and he can't even walk because all he cared about was money, and now he can't even enjoy his money because he can't even walk. What's the point?
Yeah.
Money's unlimited. You can have as much money as you want. We're only here for so long. Your health and your fulfillment and your happiness and what you really want out of life is just as or more important. You got to have money to live, but after that,
So find out what triggers fulfillment for you. For me, the biggest way I get fulfilled is when I can truly create some massive value for other human beings, when I can help people get unstuck, when I can help them go to that next level, shift into that next gear. And there's always another gear for us to shift into.
No, there's always another level, bro. Every day. Man, I appreciate you coming on.
For sure. I appreciate you guys. Make sure to follow me, because I think my friends is full, but and then sign up for our prospecting challenge. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. We'll push it. Let me know if there's something I could do for you.
All right. We'll see ya.
You guys, see ya.